Thank you very much. So hopefully you've all received the programme today. We have some really interesting speakers and updates lined up for you. Thank you to those who have contributed to helping to shape the agenda. It's your platform, so it's always good to hear from you what are the hot topics and what you want to hear about. And that's very much for our first item, which delighted to welcome Erica Lockhart from the South East International Recruitment Project, because we are in East Sussex Partners in Care. We do run the Sussex Hub, and we are having a lot of engagement with home care providers, and we're delighted Erica's come along this afternoon to talk about some of the key challenges for home care providers around international recruitment. And of course, as you all know, the rules changed in April, so we'll hopefully give you a bit of an overview of that. We have Steve Rust from CQC, so welcome back, Steve, good to see you again. And Mike Bailey from Skills for Care. And one of our guest presenters today will be Hannah Manning from Birdie. Hannah will join us a little later in the session, and also from Evette Davies from the Hospital Trust. Sorry, I'm multitasking. We've got Evette Davies talking about hospital discharge into home care. And those of you who, there we go. Those of you who've been to our previous forums will know that hospital discharge has been on our agenda since last year. So we're delighted Evette can join us. And welcome also from providers across Brighton and Hove. And I think we have a couple joining us from West Sussex. So welcome everyone. And I will hand over to Erica.
Thank you.
And I will find your presentation.
So welcome, and it's good to be here. I'm also not only the regional partnership lead, and I've got a great team of people, not least Liz and the Sussex Hub, but I'm also chair of SESCA, the South East Social Care Alliance. So that's a partnership between all the local care associations across the South East, and for the international project, it's a partnership also. I don't think that's the right one. That's Darren's, I think.
Maybe mine.
So,
that's Darren.
Not to worry, I can speak to that as well. So we can miss the first slide anyway. I think many of you will know that over the recent years, from when the care workers became part of the shortage occupation, the numbers of international workers increased in that time. And I think the latest figures in 23-24, 105,000 new international recruits took up the post. Are you able to find them? If not, don't worry, I can just speak to them. So anyway, much to our surprise, the Department of Health and Social Care, oh, that's the last one, so you need to go to the beginning. Much to our surprise, granted funding to the regions to support latterly displaced workers. In our first year, we were actually helping people to bring new people in from overseas, but then the focus changed to only supporting displaced workers. And as Liz has already alluded to, from the 9th of April, even that has changed further. But what we are doing is the focus in the South East is supporting care workers no longer able to work for their own sponsors. So we're only helping those who have suffered because of a revocation. And just a matter of fact, every single revocation in the South East is a domiciliary care provider, none at all from care homes or nursing homes or supported living. So that just shows you the challenge that faced. We have also been providing compliance support for providers so that we can support providers to stay compliant, because it's pretty much of a minefield. So as an estimated 20,000 workers have been displaced through their employer's license being revoked. Skills for Care, and Mike will confirm this, I guess, is they're still saying there's 160,000 vacant posts in the sector. Now, we're not seeing that so much in the southeast. And we think that that's partly because many care workers are still working 20 hours, which they're allowed to do if they're if they lost their sponsor employer's license, and the UKVI have not been imposing the penalties on that. So we believe there's quite a hidden number of vacancies in the sector. But what we are doing, and I think this is different for the Southeast, and we're quite proud of this, and we've got a governance group, including providers, who support this. We are interviewing all potential recruits to verify their ID, check their experience, English language, etc. And what we've been tasked with doing then is from those recruits to find providers with vacancies. And one of the key things is that providers need to demonstrate they can provide secure work and appropriate support. So we are also offering I think going forward, Liz.
Yes, I've just lost.
Sorry. Yeah, anyway, so what we've been doing for the displaced workers, whilst after we've interviewed them, there's a gap in time from when we're able to find suitable vacancies. So we have been offering wellbeing courses and training in English, and which has been very, very popular indeed. But what we've been really impressed with, are you finding it now, Liz, or not?
No, I've lost it. Just bear with me.
All right, well, don't worry. What we're finding with these workers is that they are incredibly good. A few aren't. I mean, a few, frankly, we wonder why they ever got here in the first place, given the standard of English. But the majority are actually really, really good candidates. And many are willing to relocate, although in practice, you know, they might tick to say they'll relocate, but in reality, unless they've got access to accommodation or something, it's quite difficult. I think it's important to just say from the provider side as well, we do provide assurance interviews. So we had a number of providers get in touch with us, but we've set sort of ground rules really that they have to be CQC registered a minimum of 6 months, but if less than 2 years, we want to make sure that they have security of work. And this is quite challenging for home care, to be honest, because of the volatility of the framework agreements. It's so hard to demonstrate that, you know, through those, which was one of the key criteria that UKVI said that people had to have a DAS letter, a Director of Social Services, which would demonstrate that they had work. So it is a problem. We look for good governance systems and that they offer support to the workers. So we do have this QR code there, but that can come through on the notes afterwards, which gives you an indication of the sort of things that we ask for. I think there was a question in the chat, but I'll come back to that. From the 9th of April, things changed. So anyone wanting to sponsor a care assistant must prioritise those already in the country. So that means in practice that providers have to attempt to recruit from the displaced worker pool. And we have to let them know, UKVI, who is actively engaged with us. So it's no good just saying, oh, well, I've looked and there's no one any good. You actually have to demonstrate that you're actively engaged. And we're at the moment agreeing some criteria to demonstrate that, because not so much in the southeast, but in other parts of the country, there's a lot of providers trying to circumvent that and just say, oh, we've already looked and we want to bring someone in from overseas. That won't wear with the UKVI. We have to have said that you've interviewed, etc. And I think one of the big problems for home care is that the driving. and we'll come back to that in a minute. But one of the good things about the South East, and this doesn't happen elsewhere, is that we are providing up to £5,000 of funding, which is towards the cost of sponsorship, which can be, pretty excessive. And up to 6 grants can be claimed per CQC registered location. So that's a really positive thing. And we now know that we will get further funding in 25-26. We haven't seen the MOU and we haven't seen the money yet, but we are thinking we might increase that level of funding to support employers, because the costs of compliance and legal fees and UKVI fees have all gone up very significantly, actually. So in this year, we've had totally 2,101 worker applications. We have 537 workers who currently are being supported to look for a new sponsor. So they've been through our assurance process. There are 333 registered locations, but we have a number of providers still waiting for assurance. And so far, although this slide says 106, we're up to about 125 who've now been successfully introduced. Now, last time I looked, you'll be interested to know that 251 of those providers were actually home care providers across the South East, because they are the ones demonstrating vacancies. We're also providing provider compliance, and I hope some of you will have been on that. And I would urge you to have a look at the SESCA website, which we keep up to date both for providers and for workers on where they can get help. We're also doing online webinars, etc. So if we move on to the challenges for home care providers, we've really been grappling with this, because all of the companies have vacancies and we have workers, but how we can match the two when a lot of the specification, and understandably, requires drivers. So and also potentially access to a car, and also females. We might have men, but most are requiring females. Car owners where they can. But the other thing, which we've found quite illuminating really, is that because most of these workers have come from revocations of DOMS care providers, poor experience, not getting enough hours, being, ill-treated, whatever. I mean, there's a whole range of things. They are not keen to get another job with a DOM care provider. If we talk to UKVI about that, they say, well, just tell them that's where the vacancies are. But, you don't want someone who doesn't really want to come and work for your company. So this is, a challenge. But the main one is that they aren't drivers. But at the moment in our pool, we have 66 who have got UK driving license and 54 have access to a car. Now, they may not be in the location that you want them in, but we do have them and they are coming through. And that's one of the key things, matching location to worker preference, and obviously someone that you want to employ. So we came up with some ideas to get over this problem of the not having driving licenses for many of these people. And we came up with these ideas. Actually, it was a previous home care regional webinar. And I think, it is worth providers having a look at these ideas just to see if it does work in your patch. I know that in Oxfordshire, for example, they've been very successful in having minibus routes around the patch. Others have, used route planning software. It just depends. I mean, it depends on your location as well, how practical these are. We had looked to see whether we could support with our grant funding driving lessons. But unfortunately, because that would disadvantage the domestic workforce, and also if you can get driving lessons, and even more, can you get a driving test? That's a challenge. So if any workers want to access the support and get on the list, they can email to workforce@sesca.org.uk. So we're just working through, we've increased our capacity in the hubs to speed up the process for provider assurance and have a more active matching, which has led to our success. So I think we're on to the last slide now. So a quick run through of everything. But it is a challenge for home care. I don't want to pretend any other way. If you're able to demonstrate you've actively engaged and there is no one to meet your requirements, then we add that to our list that goes regularly to UKVI, and they will consider overseas recruitment again. But I think there is an anxiety about that some of the workers from overseas might have international licenses, if that's the barrier for initially, where they won't have a car, obviously, coming from overseas. But then in a year's time, unless there's proactive work to try and get through the driving licenses, etc., you'll be left in the same position. So, do you want me to pick up the questions now, Liz?
Yes, that'll be fine, Erica. Thank you. Apologies for the technical.
Oh no, well that's all right. I mean,
as always, it works in the run through, but not when you're live. So apologies,
yes,
everyone.
Yeah.
But we will.
Yeah. So in fact,
Vicky's.
Vicky there has said very few of the displaced workers want to work in home care. That's exactly what I was saying, because of poor experiences. Some have been going into supported living, and that's worked quite well because often supported living is in a group area, so it can overcome some of the travel. So how can we prove to UKVI we've engaged with SESCA and been unsuccessful? That's relatively easy. So providing you have done the active engagement, which we will be issuing our guidance on that, because we send a list, and if you're on our list to say that you've actively engaged, they will consider your application. That's already started now. So if you're not on that list from SESCA or any regional partnership around the country, they won't even entertain you until you've done that process. I think it was just those two questions.
Yeah, I think Vicky came back and said that our UKVI actually checking the list has had 7 applications.
Oh yes, they are
refused.
So I've had 7 applications refused for the reason that they said you've not engaged with your partnership.
Well, the process, Vicky, then I think we can check that to make sure. But if, I mean, it depends when they did it, I guess, because this process has probably only been going about 4 weeks when we have to send them a list. So I don't know, but we can check for you, no problem. So if you could let Liz know, I mean, she will know anyway which company and everything. We can look at our list to make sure that you're on there.
Yep. I can
assuming you've actively engaged, of course, and interviewed people, but it sounds like you have.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And before, I can't see any more questions, Erica, but I was just going to say, with regards, I know that was a very quick canter through, but we do have a workshop, an in-person workshop on the 9th of July at East Sussex National, to go through the new immigration rules in some detail with Leicester Aldridge. So I can send details of that workshop out. So if you want to, it's 2.5 hours. So it's a really detailed run through of some of the new changes and what they mean for all providers, not just home care providers. But
no, that would be good. And by then we'll have had approved, I hope, our guidance on what active engagement means. But it is looking and interviewing. It's nothing, it's what you would expect, really. Yeah. So, and the other thing to mention is that the Leicester Aldridge, we pay them to have a helpline available for the Southeast providers.
Yes. Yeah. And
but your challenge is mainly the fact that your specification requires drivers. It's not that there aren't people, it's the fact that if they can't drive, they're not much help to you in certain circumstances, which is why I would just refer you back to those sort of 11 different ideas that you might be able to think about going forward.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Darren, given my experience, you've just witnessed screen sharing, would you do you want me to try again, or are you happy to share?
I'm very happy to. You can run it because I'd have to load my slides up.
Okay.
My
I'll-
slides are very simple.
I'll try again. I did get them up once, so um, is
So,
this it? Yes?
yeah, just there's a couple slides before that.
Yeah, there we
Yeah, but you can just go to the
go.
second slide. So
Okay, so let me do this from
yeah,
the beginning.
so
Yeah.
I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Darren Starr. I'm the owner of what's called My Home Care Limited. It's a national domiciliary care franchise, mainly domiciliary care. We have about 50 branches across the UK. We care for over 20,000 service users, providing close to 80,000 hours of care weekly. The part that we specifically also own a number of branches throughout Kent and West Sussex. And so we're mainly domiciliary care. Our organization across all our different branches, we employ about 160, 170 people. Approximately about 130 of them are sponsored. We've only brought one person in from overseas. That was the very first individual that we actually sponsored. And everyone else has been individuals that have been essentially poorly treated, taken advantage of, abused, used, that were already here in the UK. And we quickly discovered that there's this wealth of talent already here in the UK that just needs a helping hand. You just need to find a right provider that will treat them fairly. And it's essentially greatly assisted our company growing and the rest of the domiciliary franchise that we help coordinate. So if you can go to the second slide, the one next to that, the one afterwards. I really back to the laundry. The that is essentially how I would describe us. Before sponsoring, we're mainly domiciliary care. It was challenging. And we had high levels of sickness. We had people that all wanted to work part-time. Once we started sponsoring individuals that were already here in the UK, our business has significantly improved. It's become a lot more organized. We've had a very high-performing, dedicated workforce. It significantly allowed us to grow the company. It's allowed us to assist the NHS, social services, increase private clients. It's been a massive success story for us. And the way we look at it is everybody wins. It's helped the company grow. We've helped out a lot of our employees. We've helped them out considerably. They were all in bad spots. And then our clients are getting great care. So for us, it's been an absolute massive success story in terms of sponsoring employees, having dedicated workforce that's focused on care. We pay very fairly, we pay competitively, we treat them with decency and respect, we provide security to them, and we get loyalty, dedication, and hard work in return. If you can go to the next slide. Like anything, there's always challenges. The compliance of what's happening with the UKVI is always challenging. We spend a lot of money on legal fees. I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I now consider myself a bit of an expert. The rules are constantly changing. We have to stay compliant. We follow those rules. It is expensive. We've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds sponsoring individuals here in the UK, right? Never charged any of those crazy administration fees or all that abuse that other people have done. We've never done any of that. We've always paid for everything. It does require a lot of staff support. We provide assistance, everything from assisting with housing, trying to provide guidance, to my own children are actually tutoring the children of some of my care staff that work for us, right? So we have offices in Kent. There's an 11+ grammar system in Kent. We have people relocating to that area. It's a new system for them. They're competing against kids that have been tutored for years. So we're trying to provide that type of support. It's not one of the other challenges though is that it's not, we'd love to say that every single person that we've hired has been absolutely brilliant and smashing success. There are individuals, unfortunately, with hidden agendas. They're just using the job to relocate to the UK and they don't really want to work or this or that. And you can get caught off. I mean, we have had over the years a dozen bad apples that have wasted our time, our money. And essentially they've wasted the sponsorship certificate, which is very unfortunate because we could have used it to help someone else out, right? So that's the greatest disappointment. but the benefits by far outweigh the challenges. Right? My staff turnover is less than 3%, which is outstanding. You know, our sickness level is virtually, it happens, but we don't have this crazy sickness that we once had prior to the sponsoring individuals. And more staff obviously promotes growth. Before this program, our hires were all essentially staff referrals. We have people moving to join us from Birmingham, people moving to join us from Leeds, from Scotland. And they move in and they find that they're working for a good provider that's treating them well, that they're being paid fairly, they feel they have safety, they have security. And next thing you know, they're asking you to hire another dozen people that also will be great members of your team. So there's a lot of significant benefits just in terms of attracting a higher quality individual that will, be part of your team. And and that screening process is brilliant. To give the SESCA effort some credit, I have actively, me personally, I've spoken to, I'd probably say 30, maybe 40 candidates from the SESCA so far. The candidates that they've screened are outstanding. So they've done a very good job screening the candidates. I've been very impressed. We have made numerous hires through the program already, and we hope to continue to do so. Also just say it does create a very fun environment. We now have 23 different nationalities working for us. The 23rd was someone from Turks and Caicos, which we didn't have that joined, but that creates a lot of challenges, but it's a lot of fun. And then the most important reason, it's just the right thing to do. You morally feel good about helping your own workforce. And I know that it's something that myself and our management teams, we deeply believe in, and we hope to continue to do this. So the next slide. Our approach, we run it, this is a care company, but we also run it, it is a business. We do have, a massive payroll. We care and support a lot of individuals. We pay taxes. We have different regulators. So it has to run effectively. And our approach is that we constantly believe we're juggling 3 balls. So we're juggling the health and welfare of our clients, incredibly important. Without good clients and providing great care, we would be out of business. We're also juggling the health and welfare and the financial interests of the company. That's equally important. We have to pay bills, we pay taxes, right? We pay the CQC fees, all that. The company does need to be financially sound. And then the third ball is we're juggling the health and welfare and the financial interests of our staff. And that's equally important. And I do believe that all 3 of those balls have to be juggled simultaneously. All 3 of those interests need to be measured, understood, respected. I think this is one of the reasons why there are so many difficulties sometimes in the domiciliary care industry is they're just focused on the clients, they're just focused on the company. And often the last part of anyone's focus is their own staff. And that's what creates the chaos that we have sometimes in the industry. And then just on the final slide, we're a big fan of this program. We hope to continue to support it. It's we believe everybody wins. We help out a lot of displaced workers. We hope to continue to do so. Our clients benefit, they get great care and dedication, and then the company benefits. It helps us to grow and, and continue to expand and provide more services. And that's really it. I'm very happy to take any questions, share any experiences.
Thank you, Darren. That's great. And as I say, I know we met during the assurance process as well, and it's always good, I think, for other providers to hear from their peers about. I mean, Eric and I can give you the overview of the the strategic delivery of the project, but it's great to hear from a provider. Erica.
Yeah, just wanted to ask Darren, well done. That's a great story, and that's exactly how it should be. And also that, we've been able to help you. I was just interested, given that other providers had fed back, about the driving side, have you been able to secure drivers, or is your business so flexible with the quantity of clients you've got that's been less of a challenge for you?
We've I briefly looked at your 11 suggestions, and I think we probably tried 9 of them. So like over the years,
Yeah.
you know, we bought bicycles, they all got stolen. We bought electric bikes, they got stolen even more quickly. We had bus passes, paired them all up. It's very challenging. For it to really work, at least the way we run our business, and mainly for the staff to earn the appropriate amount of money that they need to earn to support themselves, the driving is essential. So when we try to accommodate people walking and non-drivers, it's always been very, very challenging. And it's more challenging under the COS sponsorship because there's a legal obligation that the worker needs to meet. There's also a legal obligation that the provider needs to meet. And when you suddenly are starting to not have the drivers, that puts that into jeopardy.
Yeah.
Right. And we have a lot of responsibilities that take place. So it is tough. We've hired through the program, we've not been able to hire any female drivers. You know, so just today I approached SESCA saying I have demand to hire at least 6 females right here, right now. I can't find any of them through the program. We've hired male drivers. We've hired 3 or 4 people through the program. And essentially all the males that we've been hiring have been through the program, except for one where we needed a very specific language skill. And the individuals that we saw, they didn't speak the language that we needed, and that was to care for a particular client. But yeah, so it's tough. I mean, we do all the background checks. We do check the driving. We check their licenses. You know, you really have to scrutinize it. Everyone says that they have a provisional license. Unfortunately, that's meaningless. I mean, you know, the reality. And it's one of those obstacles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And Erica, yes,
Can I ask another question while all these great home care providers are here? If any of you have any potential solutions, please do come forward with them, because we do have some, well, I'd say influence. I'd like to think we have some influence, but certainly with the Department of Health and Social Care, we have been raising this as a challenge, because let's face it, the NHS needs us, the local authority needs us, the public, carers need us, and there aren't even people in the domestic workforce with licenses. So I think, so if anyone does have, if only we had, then we're very happy to raise this and see whether we can't champion the cause. I mean, we are already, but I would just say, if you have some great ideas, then please do shout up, because we can push it through. Because as I say, even if you bring new people in from overseas, in a year's time, their licenses won't be valid, and we'll be back to the same sort of scenario. So we need a longer term solution to this for domiciliary care.
I think that's a good call, Erica. Does anybody want to come back on that, or are you happy if I move us on? I'm just mindful of time.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, really, not for now, Liz, because obviously time and everything, but they'll be in touch with you, I'm sure, and just an open request, really. Yes, and we'll make sure it goes out with the post event details as well, and contact. Most people have my contact details anyway for the Sussex Hub. So thank you both very much. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Erica. Thank you. And have a good rest of the afternoon. Darren, you're welcome to stay if you want to, but I understand if you're busy. Sure. But Erica, good to see you, and see you again shortly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm going to move to Steve.
Yep, that's fine.
Hello, Steve, and welcome already. And not only am I failing miserably on sharing screens, but we have run over time. So a bit of a plea to Steve and Mike, our next two updates. I'll do my utmost to bring us back on time for our visitors that are joining us a bit later, but I'm sorry if I do cut you short. Steve, are you happy for me?
I'm happy to try and share my screen. That'll be fine.
Okay,
I also speak very quickly as well, so that's good.
Yeah. Whilst you're doing that, I mean, you know, for those who wasn't here the last time you joined us on one of these webinars, I know a couple of the legacy issues, which I hope you're going to touch on in your operational update, particularly for home care providers, was around the long waits from newly registered providers to an inspection, and something that Erica touched on is outdated ratings as well. So just bear that in mind if you can, as you canter through your presentation. But good to hear where we are with CQC. Are you can you share, or is that something you want me to do?
I just tried, and for some reason it wouldn't let me speak on the microphone. So let me try again.
Okay. Let me see if I can find, where are you? I can find your slide. So I've got it up on screen. I did have it on screen. Steve, if you want to stop sharing.
Yeah, it's not letting me have the microphone, unfortunately. So in that case, I'm going to need to switch my camera off and look at this screen, because that's where my notes are originally. So and also make it a bit more stable. So yeah, I mean, if you can bring the slides up, that'd be fantastic.
I'll just see. I just had them up. Just bear with me. Yeah. Operational update. Can everybody see that?
That's the one.
There we go.
Brilliant. Thank you.
There we go.
Great stuff. Well, Darren has just spoken about some really sort of, great things and some success stories and that. Unfortunately, my presentation is not going to be quite as positive as that, because as you may well be aware, the CQC currently find ourselves in a position where we don't really want to be, and it's taken a few things have happened badly over the last year or so, which has got us to this position, and we're essentially doing our best to try and get out of them. So at the minute, we're in trouble. Our systems aren't working as they should do. We can't fully fulfil our purpose at the moment. And to be honest, it took the former senior leadership of the organisation quite some time to accept that. So this is going to be an uncomfortable and awkward message to deliver to you, because essentially you guys, regardless of what the CQC are doing, you're still, working hard every day to provide, great care to, vulnerable people and support staff and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a difficult message to deliver, especially I think seeing as about a year or two ago, I was stood there myself in front of you guys saying how wonderful this new world of regulation was going to be, and the regulatory platform, the single assessment framework and that kind of thing. And to be honest, it hasn't worked. So I'm going to speak today about sort of where we are now, the changes that we're making, and what we're trying to do going forward, and how that'll affect you, and hopefully to let you know roughly when we can get where we need to be. I've only got 10 minutes or so I'll go quickly, and then if we've got time for any questions, by all means, let me know. Oh, I know what's just happened on this. It's the last slide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. If you can, but this is going to probably take the 10 minutes I've got.
Are you happy just to talk to it?
Yeah, fine. In that case, I'll just talk about it. It's fine. The slides only sort of have a few points on there, and you can send them around to people as well. So.
I will indeed, and also as well, Steve, if you can pick up on as well. I think, like Darren said, I mean, a lot of providers are still paying CQC fees as well.
Absolutely. So. Essentially, if the CQC sort of, was to inspect ourselves about, the end of last year, would be inadequate. If we inspect ourselves today, we'd definitely require improvement, probably with a few breaches, but we are sort of heading in the right direction. So essentially what happened and how we got here is that we've had quite significant technology failures that have impacted massively on us, on what we can do on the day-to-day as a regulator. So the Dr. Penny Dash report, the independent review, essentially stated that it's our poorly performing IT systems that are hampering our ability to roll out the single assessment framework. And I can only imagine how frustrating that is for providers, because it's certainly very frustrating for inspectors as well. So Also, we've had to do as well, we had a very large restructure. So we've now had to restructure again because we restructured for the original way of working, the single assessment framework, and it hasn't worked. So we've had to change the way we work internally with our IT, and also again change in terms of the way we're set up. So essentially what we're doing at the moment is we're using what's called the hybrid approach. It's a hybrid system. So we've had to do this urgently to try and essentially get us back out there to inspect and see providers and update the public and write reports and give ratings. So what the hybrid approach essentially allows us to do as inspectors, it gets us off the system. So the system, by the system, I mean the regulatory platform. And it's been plagued by functional issues. It's not worked properly. It's not worked in terms of scoring, in terms of reporting. So this new way of working that we're doing essentially gets us off the system, which means we only have to go into it to put the scores in and write the report, to get it onto our website and get it to yourselves as a draft report. Okay. Now, in a nutshell, what this means, we've had to streamline the way we're working. So originally we were scoring everything like every individual evidence category, so processes, feedback from people, feedback from staff, etc. Now what we're doing, we are only scoring at each quality statement level. So for example, the quality statement of safeguarding in SAFE, you now only get one score rather than sort of an overall score for each individual evidence category of people's feedback from staff, processes, etc. Now, what this means is we're not sort of looking at less, we're actually looking at the same. It's just the way we score it and the way that we put it onto our system that makes it easier to do. Okay. So essentially what will be happening is when you have an inspection, nothing will change. It will be the same process. We'll ask the same questions. We'll talk to the same people and do the same things. But when you receive your draft report, it won't be at evidence category level. Your scoring will be done at each quality statement that we look at. But other than that, everything is the same. It's only our internal systems that we're changing. You'll get a paragraph on there that says we've moderated it and that kind of thing, but that's only for your information. That doesn't go out. We've moderated the scores purely to get them on the system. We've not moderated anything that you're doing to change and that kind of stuff. So it's around essentially just streamlining the system. And like I said, the idea behind that means that we can actually get out and do more inspections, because at the moment, well, before the hybrid approach, we were frozen. It was taking over a month just to get the scores on board, which is insane when we're meant to be going out and inspecting more. So yeah, once again, just to assure you, it's the same process. It's just our internal systems that we're doing a workaround, with the idea being to try and get out and do more inspections and better quality inspections. Okay, so on top of that, other changes we're making, we're looking at providing clearer descriptions of what we're looking for at different levels of quality. If you remember previously, we had the characteristics of ratings, which we used with the Chloes. We need to develop we are developing something like that. So that will give people more of an idea on what good looks like, what outstanding looks like, etc. We're developing a new guidance handbook for providers, which is essentially going to explain the exact process of how we're going to inspect and what we'll be looking for and what you guys, what we want to see from you guys. We're also stopping the use of existing ratings to produce new scores, because that hasn't worked very well of previous ratings in the regulatory platform. It's bringing out scoring anomalies, hence why we're now moderating scores based on the inspection that we've done. Other changes as well, we was originally in multidisciplinary teams, all directorates working together, hospitals, primary medical services, adult social care. We are now returning to sector-specific directorates headed up by a chief inspector. So that essentially gives us that credibility of sector that perhaps we were missing when we were working as a multidisciplinary group. I think it's a good thing, but we're also going back to the implementation of named inspectors for providers. So you no longer will be open to a team. You are now going to have a specific inspector like previously. So we now as inspectors will have portfolios again, where we'll be able to analyse risk on the patch, but also be there to support providers, because you'll have a named inspector on who you can contact. Okay. In terms of our priorities, I mean, what we need to do is get out and inspect and publish reports. So what we're hoping is this hybrid approach is going to enable us in an interim way to carry out and report on a greater number of inspections. Our main role and function is to inspect and report, and we're working hard to get where we need to be. What we'll always focus on, though, in terms of our priorities, is risk. So if a service is risky or we get intelligence about a service, risk always trumps everything. But our next priority after that is services with aged ratings. So if you've not had an inspection for several years, we are prioritising services who have not been inspected for 3, 4, even 5 years, and also unrated services that are registered and we've not been out to inspect. Anything rated requires improvement will be coming out as well. That's the next set down. And weirdly, I know this sounds strange, services that have been rated as good with a breach of regulations. Now that's something that the reg platform threw up as an anomaly. I mean, being good with a breach is fine if you're an acute hospital trust. So for example, A&E is doing well, but maternity is, breached, requires improvement, but it doesn't work in social care. And there's a few services like that. So we need to prioritise those as well to give accurate ratings to the public. But one thing I do want to stress is, even though this all sounds terrible, and I think, what on earth is the regulator doing over the last 2 years? We are trying our hardest to work things out and get back to where we need to be as a regulator. Just to be sure, us inspectors haven't suddenly forgotten how to inspect and forgotten what good care looks like, or forgotten how to go out and write reports. It's just we've been hampered by a system put in place that's not delivered what it was supposed to. But we are working very hard at it, and I appreciate the frustrations of providers, frustrations of the public, and also as well frustrations from us as in the CQC as inspectors as well. But we are looking to become the regulator we once were, and a high quality regulator going forward. But we need to obviously make these changes, and we're starting to do that. That is probably it, really. And I'm happy to open for questions. Not sure how much time we've got left. I'll put my camera back on.
Thanks, Steve. Mike, I've messaged you. I don't know whether you've seen the message. If I could just do to bring us back on time for our guests that are joining us later this meeting. Are you okay if we take your slot after Evette, and then if we run over, then people can stay on? Is that okay?
Sorry, what do you mean? Sorry.
Can I move your slot to after the hospital discharge slot, so that we can?
Yeah, I need to go, but I'll stay. Yeah.
Okay. Super. Thank you very much. And thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve?
Be as frank as you like as well, because I know it's not a good position. It's and just to stress, Steve Rust and the Brighton Hove team didn't get us in this position, so I'm happy to take feedback and pass it up the chain to senior leaders as well if you have any.
Doesn't look as though there's any questions from the floor. I mean, when can we kind of expect to hear? Just then a news bulletin comes through from Care Quality Commission. But when can we start to hear, some of these new ways of working, part 2, actually beginning to have an impact? When can providers, get back to some sort of normal regulation? Yeah. And I know through the IR project, Erica's not here, but as Erica said, we use providers' CQC ratings, and we've had some providers haven't been inspected for 7 or 8 years, Steve. So, just any idea when we can expect?
My understanding was that by the end of this month, by the end of June, we were coming out with a statement around what's going to happen next, and that statement. That's around sort of where we continue using a single assessment framework in its current form, whether we make some amends to it to make it more streamlined, or whether we get rid of it altogether and do something different. I know there's a lot of work going on around that, especially with providers and the public as well. I think something will come out at the end of the month. I'm obviously not privy to exactly what's going to happen, but essentially we are, we know as a regulator that we're not delivering our function at the moment, and I know there's a lot of work. We've employed 4 new chief inspectors now, so the directorates are going back into place nationally, which will help as well in terms of speeding up the inspection process, because we will no longer be looking at services perhaps outside of our area of expertise in terms of managing risk and that kind of thing. So that should speed things up as well. But yeah, I would say towards the end of this month, hopefully there will be a large announcement from the CQC to providers.
Great.
I hope so anyway.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. And thanks for braving it and joining us this afternoon. Most appreciated. So I'm going to just move us on to our guest presentation, and hopefully we can come back to Mike at the end of the programme. Thank you, Mike, and my apologies. But with the international recruitment item overrunning, obviously we want to try and give everybody the time that they've been allocated. So our guest presenter today is Hannah Manning from Birdie. And for those of you who've not familiar with Birdie, it is a platform that a software platform that can support home care. And as a care association, you know, we work with patrons, we work with sponsors, and Birdie is one of those sponsors. So we're delighted to welcome them here this afternoon. I'm equally delighted, Hannah. You missed the early beginning, but my screen sharing did not work. So I'm absolutely delighted that you're managing your own slides. So over to you to introduce yourself and Birdie.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I'm Hannah, and I'm a care consultant here at Birdie. And just to manage expectations, this is not going to be a product demonstration. I've got 10 minutes, and I'm just going to run through what we can do for you and the impact we have on other agencies like yourselves, and how we're different to other technology providers in the sector. And if you're interested, our details will be shared at the end, and we can also include a discount there. So in terms of us, here's a little bit about us and Birdie. So we provide technology to primarily home care agencies to help them to work smarter and not just harder. So we know that money is tight, expectations are high, and every minute matters in today's home care world. So when it's impossible to work any harder, Birdie's technology helps you to work smarter, and it connects everything and everyone, and it shows you what needs attention and helps you focus on improving both care quality and your bottom line. The way in which we do this is in a few ways, and I'm going to show you our 5 products, 3 apps, and 3 promises to help illustrate this. So the first is care management, which is at the heart of Birdie. So Birdie streamlines care delivery by centralizing client information in digital care plans, medication management, and we've also got structured assessments and body maps to help you to reduce admin and provide powerful analytics for oversight. This ties into our rostering, which helps you to effectively match carers and clients and create optimized schedules supported by analytics for this continuous improvement. The compliance piece is really key and something valued by our Birdie partners. We ensure inspection readiness with Birdie's tools for gathering evidence, tracking issues, and helping you feel confident and prepared for a CQC inspection with our tool that helps you predict your CQC rating too. In terms of finance, it does what it says on the tin, and it really helps with you to streamline billing, invoicing, and payroll, reducing errors and improving cash flows with powerful analytics too. Our workforce management helps you to attract, retain, and develop carers with Birdie's Carer app and workforce management tools, streamlining HR and improving team engagement. Birdie ensures this is integrated for agencies with the Agency Hub, the Carer app, and the Family app, ensuring seamless communication and information flow across all aspects of care management. Now, all of this is underpinned by Birdie's 3 promises. So the partnership is a really core part for us. Our customers, we call partners here at Birdie, and we promise that ongoing support and development. We also have a reliable system that you and the team can trust, with a 99% uptime and regular updates from our team. And we are a unified platform. And what this means is that we're built together so everything works together. And it's been built up from the ground up for that seamless integration. So I want to tell you a bit more about where Birdie fits in the wider landscape. And I'm going to show you the 4 ways in which we see teams managing care at the moment. The first is paper, which many, if not most of you, will have moved away from. The second is what we see lots of people working on at the moment, which is what we'd call first generation technology. So some of you might have experienced recent integrations not working well together, limited insights, and importantly, no support, which is causing real challenges within your business. We might call this Franken systems, where things just don't quite tie up with the systems you have in place. And the third is building your own, which quite frankly is incredibly expensive and requires a huge amount of time and effort that goes into maintaining this. So we at Birdie, we bridge that gap. So we are built as one, so we work as one, and we have the technical and strategic support alongside the insights to make sure that you and the team see everything and miss nothing at your home care agency. So who is actually using Birdie? We have a number of providers and partners within the East Sussex area, but we also help over 1,200 agencies across the UK, and we support them to deliver over 60 million care visits annually. And what's more, we're trusted by the partners that we have. So we have over 50,000 carers using the Carer app. We are committed to improve our product on a weekly basis, if not daily. And we have we've had over 120 feature releases in 2024, which highlights our commitment to continued innovation. And our uptime, as I mentioned earlier, is over 99.9%. So making it one of the most trusted options on the market today. So in terms of what we see today, we know that the sector's challenges have reached a whole new level of intensity. The expectations are higher than ever, resources are constrained, and competition is really, really tough. So we at Birdie help you and the team to, when you can't work any harder, to work smarter. And we do this in 3 ways. So this is our commitment to help you and the team. And in terms of what we do is we get everything and everyone working together. So Birdie is built as one, so it works as one. So we bring together your care management, scheduling and finance into one system, so you can save time, reduce mistakes, and keep everybody on the same page. And this ties into our second commitment, which is for you to see everything and miss nothing. So we are powered by over 52 reports, which gives you this oversight at a glance, so you can spot issues early, respond quickly, and prove your quality with real evidence. And thirdly, we want you to never feel alone again. We hear on a daily basis that people are not getting the support from their technology providers that they deserve, quite frankly. And so we have a commitment for you to get a response time in under 10 minutes and also have a monthly check-in with our customer success manager who's dedicated to help you meet your goals. And we also have a community for everyone in the care sector, regardless of whether or not they're a Birdie customer or partner, called Flock, which you can join by going onto the Birdie website, which is really there to support you and the care industry. And this is everything from me, but it leaves me to focus on this here. So if you're interested in hearing more, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. And we also have a special East Sussex Partners in Care discount from this webinar. So you'd have 50% off in your first 3 months. And when you go onto the demonstration link here, which is noted down, you can either note it down here or the slides will be shared afterwards, but it's Birdie Care /book a demo. Then if you enter your code, once you've clicked on this link via the referral part, the We 2025, then this will give you access to that discount, and we'd love to hear more about you and the team. But thank you very much. I think
yeah, thank you very much, Hannah. And just if we have any providers, Brighton and Hove and West Sussex, that code also applies, because we do work with you Sussex wide. So thank you very much for that presentation. And any questions? Any questions for Hannah while she's on the call? No, I can't see any hands up, Hannah, so thank you very much indeed. And I'm going to move us on to Evette Davies from East Sussex Healthcare Trust. Welcome, Evette.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And you're going to talk to us about hospital discharge into specifically home care. And thank you very much for joining us. As I said at the beginning, this has been on our agenda for since last year, so it's really good to kind of open that discussion with home care providers. I have had to change the programme slightly, Evette. So I'm hoping at the end not to reduce your time, but hoping to bring Mike Bailey from Skills for Care back at the end. So
Yeah, no, that's fine. Has my presentation just come up?
yes, it has.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
I'm not very good at sharing, so that's always a relief when it does, but I now can't see any of you. So if there's any questions, please just ask, but I shouldn't take 20 minutes.
Okay,
I did
thank
this
you.
presentation recently. So thank you for inviting me along today to share our work at East Sussex Healthcare around the transfer of care document. Now, this document came about through the Health Watch Free Sussex report that we received back in 2021. Which focused on key aspects of capturing feedback on the 4 themes. And our quality account for 2020 to 21 was around perfecting discharges in our healthcare, and that there was concerns raised through the CQC and adult social care around the high quality discharges. So it was seen as a priority to us to make sure that we were discharging our patients safely into continuing care or care providers. So this work has taken a long time because we had COVID. So a lot of things were put on the back burner for a little while. So you'll sort of see that through the presentation. So we looked at details of patients' treatment, post-discharge requirements, next steps, the written guidance around medication, hospital discharge, and that core set of information that needed to be provided for patients, and patients that are provided with details of the community and voluntary sector. So, you know, these were the recommendations from Health Watch that we needed to look at. So ESHT decided to form the Multidisciplinary Discharge Improvement Group, which was called the MIDIG, which focused on the quality discharges, and I was part of that group and asked to look at the effective discharge. So when the purpose of doing that was to ensure that we were transferring our care so that it was safe and included all the accessible information about continuing care needs. So a detailed care package for ongoing care providers for all our patients that were coming out of hospital on a pathway 1 and above, and to improve that quality of the discharge process, ensuring a complete handover of care to our colleagues out in primary care, to our care homes, and to patients receiving care within their own homes. And we aim to help reduce the number of complaints from care homes, reduce the complaints from adult social care, reduction in safeguarding instances that have been raised against ESHT in regards to a safe discharge from hospital. Patients and families felt more informed, engaged, and informed in their discharge, which would help in a reduction of incidences. So we did this through a PDSA cycle, several of them, and engaging with lots of key stakeholders that included adult social care, people from care homes, divisional representation. You can see it on there. There were so many people involved in the PDSA cycle. And within that, we formed this transfer of care document, which I will show you in this shortly. We then tested that transfer of care document. We tested it on one of our very busy orthopedic wards and a medical ward, and we received feedback directly from our ESH colleagues. And then we also asked for review from stakeholders as well. so that we had some external feedback. Although we didn't get a lot, we got a little bit, which would help us, and that allowed us to amend and change that document, and we got to version 4 of the transfer of care document. So since that launch, which was then in November 2022, we held several subsequent discharge improvement days, which were held in ESHT across both the sites, and again, key stakeholders from across the services were involved in that, all around improving our discharge. The transfer of care is now embedded across the trust as part of the discharge paperwork. It took a while, but we got it uploaded to be in an electronic form. As everyone knows, it can take a very long time to get anything to be digital. And now we have nerve centre, the transfer of care has to be checked off on the discharge checklist as being completed. So we can evaluate that and look at that, making sure that we have good compliance. We are looking to do an evaluation and a review of the document in the autumn of this year. So I was just going to stop that share, and then I will share the document, hopefully. Where is it? I've got to find the document, so sorry. There it is. So this is the transfer of care document. So this is for transfer of care, as I said, to nursing homes, care homes, agencies that are coming to the patient's home. So I'm hoping that you are seeing this being used, and if you're not, I really value your feedback. So it is a summary of the care, of the nursing care. It does not mean that there isn't still a verbal handover of care, very much so that there should be that conversation going on between ourselves, the care home and care agencies as well, but it then has something that the patient can take with them, so they have ownership of that document, or the family member to take that with them, so it is there, so someone coming into the home can see it and view it. So I will stop sharing, and I'm happy to take any questions. It's been a long time, and we will review it again in the autumn, now that it's been used for a considerable length of time, to whether we need to update that. But I'm really interested to hear from you as a group as well, of whether you're seeing this being used out, or it should be coming out to your agencies in the community. Oh, can't hear you.
Sorry, I appreciate this is something that has been initiated in East Sussex, and we also have some providers on the call from Brighton and Hove and West Sussex.
Okay.
So how does where are we with hospital discharge? Are we still experiencing the backlog in getting people out of acute settings into communities? So has it made an impact?
So I don't think the document does. I think working, it's really hard. We understand, we've been talking about this morning, around how difficult it is to transfer people out of hospital, and waiting for adult social care providers and care homes. This is more of an aims of, are we giving enough information to these people now that wasn't there before? So really interested to hear if it is. It's being used, but we don't know the impact that has to people within East Sussex, if it is being received, and that feedback is greatly obviously received, and I'd be interested to know from colleagues West Sussex way if there is something that is being used very similar from from the trust that side. I'm not aware.
No. Okay, thank you very much. I can't see any hands, Evette, so I will say thank you very much. And if we
hi,
do
Elizabeth, I
feedback,
think there's a comment in your chat.
is there? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that.
Just from Tracy, it says, adult social care are taking far too long to assess clients in hospital. We have a client who's medically fit for discharge but waiting for assessments.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's probably one of the things that we would say as an organisation, but we understand there are pressures in every service.
Oh, taking far too long. Yeah, sorry, I can see that now, Mike. Yeah. We have a client who's medically fit for discharge but waiting for assessments. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Evette, as I said at the beginning, I think this is only the start of the conversation, and we will schedule another one of these webinars, and perhaps later in the year, we can continue that discussion, perhaps at a ICB level. I think would be really helpful for the providers across across all of the footprint as well, and where it is. I mean, it's good to have those examples of good practice and where you've kind of responded to feedback and taken that initiative, but it's good to kind of hear what's happening elsewhere across the patch, and how those challenges that I know home care providers have been sharing for a long time around hospital discharge. It'll be good to continue that conversation. But for this afternoon, thank you very much for joining us.
No, you're very welcome. Please feel free to invite me. More than happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
drop off now, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you very
absolutely
much,
fine.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
And thank you. And lastly, Mike, thank you. And apologies for the shuffle of agenda items. Are you okay to present?
Yeah, I think it's on that. Is that coming up? Yeah, is that coming up?
Yes, it is. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's excellent. And just, yeah, just from the beginning.
Yeah.
Super.
Great. I won't keep you long. So literally it's just a bit of an update from the Skills for Care. We've got lots of work going on at the moment at Skills for Care within the organisation. And just to give you I just want to concentrate on some areas. So my email's on there if you've got any questions or queries, and the locality manager for Sussex. So if you've got any questions or queries from today, or you've got any questions in general, by all means come through to me. I'll endeavour to answer them or take them away and answer them really. So I just want just detail a couple of things around that happening around workforce development. So let me just, yeah, so you'll see, you've probably seen around the place, you might have accessed it last year, but this year the Learning and Development Support Scheme is continuing. We used to have, on Skills for Care, we used to have the Workforce Development Fund last year, which funded training, but it also funded things like backfill. The Learning and Development Support Scheme has superseded that. It only actually covers training, the cost of training, and the way that it's run now is through NHS Business Services, who run it. There's on the government website there, and the link on it is there. There is a link to all the information about the Learning and Development Support Scheme. Also as well, what we've done is to try and make it a little bit easier we've done a recorded webinar around it, which shows you how to actually access the funding under the LDSS. So there is, on the government website, there is a lots of guidance on it. And you can apply and the requirements there. But look, also as well, there is an expression of interest form. It's embedded quite deep down in the guidance documentation, and the government require you to complete that expression of interest form, so they can then send it through to the email address on the form, so they can then set you up on the system. There has been some teething problems with setting people up on the system, and what we'd like you to do, if you have been registering or you are registering for that expression of interest, please let us know if there's any delays in it, because there has been some concern that there has been delays in setting people up, and we want to ensure that with NHS Business Services that it's a seamless move to this new Learning and Development Support Scheme. So the government's pledged for 2025-26 £12 million to fund training in the adult social care sector. There is a list of training courses that you can go on and access for your staff members. There is elements around learning there, but there are also up to level 5 qualifications on there as well that you can access. What we're doing at the moment is a quality assurance process in terms of providers of those different qualifications and continue to go on with that quality assurance process as well. And we also have a list on our systems of good quality assured training providers. As I say, if you've got any questions or queries on the Learning and Development Support Scheme, by all means come through to me, have a look at the webinar, and then also as well, if you've got any other queries, you can come back to me in that in terms of like your staff development and how you might access it and how it's kind of delivered there as well. Other biggies we've got at the moment, we've got we recently launched a level 2 adult care certificate qualification. It takes 6 to 8 months to complete. The idea behind this is that it enables, like if your staff put your staff on it, there should be more transferability across the sector. There are a range of training providers that are available and can deliver that care certificate qualification. You can claim £1,540 under the Learning and Development Support Scheme around that as well. So that's another one to think about any new staff that you may be coming into some of those more initial roles in the organisation. We've also got as well, like there's been update to the care certificates, so refreshed the care certificate standards. There is an additional care certificate standard now, which area now, which is around awareness of learning disabilities and autism. Again, there's further information on the page there for you, the link to the page there with further details on it for you there as well. But again, if you've got any questions or queries, by all means come through to me around this or any other areas. We'll just give you a very brief overview of things today. Other things that we've got a whole range of toolkits on our website. You've probably seen them. We've got everything from promoting of the better hiring toolkit, which is all around more robust DBS checking, to a organisational cultural toolkit as well, which organisations are using in terms of looking at their internal organisational culture and staffing and people's experience of the organisations. But there's a whole range of toolkits on there as well. And this is another one that we've got that we recently rejigged, which is a performance management toolkit. Really, it's one about if you've got you're managing staff, supervising staff, it's really about thinking about leading and managing there. How do you review performance on an ongoing basis? What techniques you might want to consider when you're looking at maybe underperformance in the team, or also as well that succession stuff as well about talent management and also how you might think about succession planning within your organisation. So there's a lot of information in that toolkit as well for you. But again, if anybody wants to talk about those in further details, I'm more than happy to do that from today. We've also got, just to give you a flavour, we've got quite a lot of modules for managers as well. We have a deputy manager network that people can join, but also as well, there is a lot of e-learning modules that are funded through the Learning and Development Support Scheme that people can access as well, about those initial elements around leadership. So leading the person-centred service, safeguarding, all those elements there, and you can find those on the modules for managers on our website as well there for you. And we've also got, we're always trying to build up a lot more work around digitisation, thinking about how the sector might be moving more towards digitisation and the use of technology and the use of AI, etc. So like what we've got is a range of bite-sized free e-learning packages and modules there around the use of technology, technical skills, managing data, the ethical use of technology, etc. as well, which we've been building up with some of our IT services and our digital skill areas as well. So there's a lot of e-learning modules on there for you as well. And just a final one I was kind of raising today, like, and that was around, we've got training resources on there, we've got a toolkit, and we've also got lesson plans. If you want to look at like about how to support people when they're having personal relationships as well. So if you're working with different users of services and you're thinking about personal relationships, you're thinking around sexuality awareness, safeguarding, all those sorts of things, legislation, etc. The toolkit that we've got on there can be really useful for you. We've got facilitator guides in case you want to do sessions in your services with your teams, etc. And we've got the supporting personal relationships guide as well that's been created on there. So really, that's just a very quick overview of some of the actual stuff that we've got going on around the workforce and workforce development. What we will be rolling out soon is some funded operational workforce planning sessions as well. We're looking at how we're going to roll those out across England, and that would very much give you, we have a operational workforce planning package which really enables you to start to develop a workforce plan if you already haven't got one. They enable you to develop about 20% of that workforce plan in the one-day session. And we use a very simple model called Analyze, Plan, Do, Review model. It's very simple to use. So again, we'll get out any of this to you as we kind of move on as well. And I'm sure, like Elizabeth, will be able to send through anything to you that you can actually disseminate on a wider basis as well. But again, I say, if you want to come back to me with any questions or queries, I'm more than happy for you to do that, because I know it's quite a minefield around workforce development at the moment in the current what's going on in the sector, but also as well understanding what might be relevant for your staff members as well. So I don't know if there's any questions on there. I can't really see the chat at the moment or anything.
I can't see any hands, Mike.
No. And that's so, but on the slide you'll have my details and that. So,
Yeah.
So if I just stop sharing, I can maybe see in case there's anything in the chat.
But as you say, there is lots happening, and
Yeah.
New kind of resources coming online, and it's just
Yeah.
just a matter of unpacking them, isn't it, for providers, and what's
Yeah,
what's
there is.
relevant.
And we've also got
Um,
our CQC seminars and things like that. So yeah.
Yes, yeah, great.
Which-
Well, thank you very much for that. A really good canter through. Thank you.
No
And thank you for joining us this afternoon. So I'll just very quickly bring us to a close. I just wanted to share with you a couple of follow-on events that we have coming up. Can you see that? Yeah. So let me just do, that's our program. So with regards to international recruitment, we have an actual in-person event at Sussex National on the new immigration rules and an essential update for providers. That's Wednesday, the 9th of July from 11 a.m. to 1:30. And that is going to be delivered by Leicester Aldridge, the solicitors. So that's an opportunity there to kind of get to the nitty-gritty of some of these changes and how they're going to impact providers. Yesterday we ran, I don't know if any of you joined us, we ran how to achieve outstanding medication audits. And on the back of that, it was suggested that we have a separate session just for home care providers, because our presenters, Sultana and Hiral from Money Group Consulting, it was a very broad overview. So we're hosting another session. It's one of our half-hour lunchtime sessions, and that's for medication management for home care providers. So it's just going to focus on some of those issues that we raised yesterday, but how they impact home care providers. And just a final, and not to forget, the Sussex Care Showcase is Wednesday, the 10th of September at Brighton Racecourse. Doors open at 9 o'clock. You can register for all of these events on our website. But I just wanted to share, obviously, one of the guest speakers at the showcase is going to be Dame Jane Townsend from the Home Care Association. So there's a great lineup of speakers, including CQC. I think we've got 2 or even 3 speakers from CQC. So and there will be lots of other people displaying and show trade stands as well, and a slightly different approach this year. But nevertheless, I think it's going to be a super event. There's a lot of planning gone into it, some great speakers. So again, if you want to register, you can do all of this via our website, and I'll send these out with all the other slides that we've seen today, including the ones I couldn't share. So from me, thank you very much. I hope you found that useful, and look forward to seeing you again at some point soon. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good rest of the day.